we got to spend a minute on Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively, okay? I know the Ruthless fellas have been all up in this business. And, I mean, no, but seriously, have you followed it at all?
A little bit. I mean, it's all over the tabloids, so you got to see it a little bit. I don't know if you're an expert,
over the tabloids. Exactly. Okay, so for those of you, just a quick two-liner for those of you not following it. They started this movie, It Ends With Us, about domestic violence. It was his movie that he bought the rights for from the woman who wrote the book, Colleen Hoover. And then he managed to convince Blake Lively to star in it with him, and all hell broke loose. She claims he sexual harassed her, and then by the time they premiered the movie, they weren't even speaking to each other. She made him stay in the basement, and Ryan Reynolds turned on him too. And then she claimed that he unleashed a bad PR campaign against her. And he claims none of that is true. There was absolutely no harassment. Those are made up claims. She wrested his movie away from him and decided to try to hurt him with petty, made up, out of context complaints when he pushed back even in the mildest way, and that she and her husband are bullies. And now it's resulted in vicious cross litigations against both of them. The New York Times is being sued for defamation by Baldoni through his lawyer, Brian Friedman, who's also my attorney, who's been on the show. And it's as vicious as it can get in Hollywood. My own position is she's absolutely ruined her brand. She has started a fight she cannot win. She does appear like an Amber Heard to me. I have yet to see one of her complaints borne out. In fact, all of the ones I've seen have been undermined by his hardcore proof in text messaging and so on that puts a totally different light on her horrific allegations. Then you see what she actually said and wrote. It's very different. She called herself Khaleesi and said Ryan Reynolds and we believe Taylor Swift were her dragons. And she's got the best dragons because they'll fight on behalf of her friends too. Now she and Taylor are reportedly on the outs because Taylor Swift is like, bitch, I'm nobody's dragon. That's unconfirmed, but it's out there. And today we see some evidence now that Blake Lively may have a history of not being upfront when she gets cast in a movie of her secret desires to actually play a much bigger role than that of lead actress. Here she is at the 2022 Forbes Power Women's Summit.
I would show up on a set. I knew that they just wanted me to show up and look cute and stand on a little pink sticker where I'm supposed to go and say what I'm supposed to say. But I also knew that that wasn't fulfilling for me, that I wanted to be a part of the storytelling, that I wanted to be a part of the narrative, whether that be in the writing, in the costume design, in creating the character. And sometimes I had directors or producers or writers who would welcome that and invite that once they saw that I was able to offer that. And sometimes I would have people who really resented that because they were like, we just hired you to be an actor. Yet when I went in the meetings, I would just seem like I'm just there to be the actor and ready to get the gig. I wouldn't reveal that I actually need to have authorship in order to feel fulfilled. So I think that for them, sometimes that might have felt like a rug pull because you're like, you're trying to assert yourself into something that we didn't hire you to do.
So she's a serial fraudster. That's called fraud. When you pretend you want to do the one thing and you'll do the thing they're hiring you for, but all along you have secret plans to do something very, very different that's above your pay grade. And she finally bumped into someone who was weak enough and not famous enough to stop her, right? This Justin Baldoni, most people had never even heard of him. He'd been in like one series. He certainly wasn't at Ryan Reynolds level fame, never mind Blake Lively. And she bullied him into giving her the movie where she did her own cut. They released the cut of the movie. He didn't even get to see it. He was the director of the film, the producer of the film, the guy who got the rights to the film, the one who's supposed to be in control. He didn't even get to see it. He was in the basement at his own movie premiere. And then she had the nerve, because she had 2 minutes of bad publicity when the film hit, to come out and try to blame it all on him. None of it was just due to the fact that she seems like a rather shitty person. Your thoughts?
I mean, it's wild. She just pretty much said the whole problem here. It's like if you hire the plumber and he climbs out from under the sink and says, "Now let's talk about how you've decorated the place." It's like, what are you talking about, man?
Yeah.
I gave you a job.
How dare they hire an actor to act? You know,
right?
Deal with a little bit.
She tries to make it sound like a female empowerment thing. You know, like they just wanted me to be an actor. Well, yes. I mean, maybe someday you could be a producer or a screenwriter, but no one contracted with you to do that here. And that's another allegation, Holmes, is that she started to rewrite scenes that nobody had asked her to rewrite.
That's just wild to me. I mean, that is for the plumber thing is absolutely perfect. I mean, you hired somebody to do a job and they're like, well, hold on a second. I've got a different vision for your toilet.
Right.
I'd like to create a bidet.
Here's the other piece of it. One other piece of it. So she is accused of having turned the whole cast of It Ends With Us against Justin. By the time they premiered the movie, Ryan Reynolds had unfollowed him on Insta, so had Blake, so had the rest of the cast. Now you tell me, if you're an unknown actor in this film and you know that Blake and Ryan have turned on the no-name Justin Baldoni, who are you going to follow? You know, these are weak, feckless people out in Hollywood. They have no spine. So of course they all unfollowed him and chose Team Blake, including, by the way, Colleen Hoover, the one who really owed him a debt of gratitude because he bought the rights to her book. She went Team Blake. Well, guess what she just did this week? She scrubbed all of her social media of Blake Lively. She'd already stepped away from Justin. Now she's scrubbed all of her social media from Blake Lively because I think she's starting to realize she made a mistake. Okay, but here's the other piece of news that came out this week. A 2009 Glamour UK interview by Blake Lively. She was on the cover at the time. And in her interview, she admitted to trying to poison the cast of Gossip Girl, which is where she made her name, against her co-star, Penn Badgley, who played her love interest, Dan Humphrey, on the show. She said, at first I was so upset that they had hired him, I actually poisoned the whole cast against him. And she goes on to say, but then they noticed that he wasn't a jerk and was actually a nice, charming person. And almost immediately I realized it too. But it took me about a week to admit it. And here's the thing. Reports were that Blake Lively and Leighton Meester, who played best friends on that show, were not friends during the 6-season run of the show. Leighton Meester and Penn Badgley and other Gossip Girl co-stars have remained silent in the wake of the Baldoni legal drama. Neither Meester nor Badgley follow Lively on Instagram. Members of the jury, what does this lead you to conclude?
I think the real victim in all of this is Ryan Reynolds.
I was going to say the same thing.
Like, he's coming home, he's trying to sell some cell phone plans, he's trying to sell some gin, and she's like, I need your help, little dragon. We're going to ruin people today.
It's like, all I do is buy soccer teams that win, sell tequila that people like, or vodka, or whatever it is. And he's like, generally stayed above. And now all of a sudden he is in the dirt with this.
She's like, I need you to get on a Zoom with Taylor Swift, and we're ruining lives tonight.
Be very, very careful with your marriages, folks. This is the kind of
little
thing that
dragon. It
yeah,
is
but
diminishing.
To your point, Megyn, I mean, the silence of the people who worked with her the longest on the previous show tells you everything you need to know. It reminds me a little bit of that stand-up special that Dave Chappelle did, talking about Juicy Smollett, when the gay community was mad at the black community for not defending Juicy enough. And Dave Chappelle says, we were defending him with our silence because we didn't believe him. We didn't believe him. And I think all of the, the people from Gossip Girl know that she can be a lot. And that's probably why they stayed silent.
That's right. It reminds me of when I was at NBC, and this is before everyone hated Meghan Markle. This is the honeymoon phase where everybody loved her before she decided she was a victim. And all the cast of Suits came on to talk about her, and behind the scenes, let's just say, they weren't quite as cheery and smiley about this person with whom they'd spent years on the set as they were with the outward facing interviews. And talking to the hair and makeup crew about what they said behind the scenes was very enlightening. I'll just leave it at that.
That's awesome.
Leave it at that.
Megan's dishing some hot goss.
Yeah.
Hot goss.
That's good.
At this point, let's talk tea. Let's do it. Guys, congrats on the 500th episode. 500 more. Lots of love.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
We continue to face uncertainty when it comes to the economy, with a perfect storm brewing as Social Security and Medicare hit a breaking point as the largest generation is hitting retirement. It's not a good confluence of events. A smaller workforce means a smaller tax base. You pair all this with our growing national debt and rising costs of living, we could have a very big problem on our hands. So, what are you doing right now to protect your family for the future? Gold can be a safe haven in hard economic times, and Birch Gold makes it easy to diversify a portion of your savings into physical gold. Birch Gold will help you transition an existing IRA or 401k into an IRA in gold, and it does not cost you one penny out of pocket. Protect your future today. Text MK to 989898 and get your free info kit on gold, as well as a copy of the Ultimate Guide for Gold in the Trump Era with a foreword by Donald Trump Jr. There's no obligation, just information. Birch Gold has earned the trust of countless Americans looking to safeguard their savings. Text my initials MK to the number 989898 today. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.